Greetings shippers, welcome back, and it's time for another edition of Fic Rec Friday, but this week it's gonna be a little different, as you can probably already tell by the video length. Today, we only have one fic. There are reasons for that, but mostly it's because life happened, and I got my hands on a book that was just supposed to be for listening to during car rides, and then it became a thing, and I just powered through and listened to it the entire time, so all of my fic time went to this book. I have no regrets though. Before we get started, if you haven't already, please do follow on social media to stay up to date, know when we're streaming, and just come on over and chit chat about fandom. It's a good time, I swear. So because I didn't have a chance to go through my archives, or to look at some of the new stuff that you guys have recced, and just in general that I'm always searching for, I decided to share one of my fave fics with you. Just 100% this fic I go back to at least once every couple months. That sounds intense, but it's true. This fic is gonna take us over to the Watchmen fandom. It comes out post-film, but really works if you're a fan of the film version or the comics version. It doesn't really matter, because the events that it's working from make sense no matter which ending you're going with. Because for those who've engaged with both, you'll know that the endings were slightly tweaked. This fic is a Dan Dreiberg and Adrian Veidt fic, so yes, Ozymandias and Night Owl 2, the second Night Owl, which was also the pairing that was involved in the first Watchmen fic that I recced all the way back in our first ever Fic Rec Friday. That one was a wing fic. This one is something else altogether. The Watchmen graphic novel is working through a lot of complex issues and themes. And on top of that, it very much has the mentality of when it was written. The fears and the concerns, especially those that drive Adrian, are very much of its time, which is part of what makes it so interesting to read. On top of Ozymandias being a very interesting character and a nuanced one who genuinely feels like he's doing the right thing despite the horrors and atrocities he has to commit to do it, there's a whole other level when reading it as a modern reader at the time of this recording, which is not only is one removed from some of the concerns that are brought forth in the Watchmen novel, though some of them do translate well, but they also live with the knowledge that that fear, the countdown, the nuclear wasteland that Adrian is anticipating, it doesn't happen. So there's a whole other layer of tragedy from a meta standpoint when reading it, which is very interesting, and it's inspired a decent amount of fics, and this is one of them. This is a post-canon fic where things have gone horribly wrong, but not in the sense that the journal was leaked and everybody found out what Adrian did, but in the sense that he wasn't as in control of the situation as he thought he was, and that he wasn't the only person waiting in the wings to take control after such a devastating event. This fic is called Solidarity by Anactoria. 14 chapters, word count 43,453. This fic is told from Dan's perspective, and it involves him being part of a resistance underground that is trying to retake the states from their new draconian overlords. He's out there in the streets, running people out of the country who want to leave, and trying to organize what's left of the people there so that they can make a stand. This fic does so many things so well. It incorporates OCs beautifully, and they all feel like real people. This fic really makes you care about them, and they really stand on their own. It also deals with the necessary dissolution of Dan and Silk Spectre 2's relationship, and it does it very gently and very well. It may seem initially that she's just been removed because she's fled the country with her mother, but when you get into the motivations for why she did so and how their relationship was evolving anyway, it really makes sense. And it's not a bashing fic. This isn't about turning around and bashing Laurie. This fic is also a redemption fic for Adrian, but one of the best I have ever read, because it's not about Adrian seeking redemption, but it's about him finding it anyway. It's about him being completely and utterly humbled and having to deal with the fact that he was completely wrong, and it's a secret. No one knows what he did or what he's wrong for, except for Dan and Laurie's not there, and Dan's not gonna say anything. So the story deals with Adrian stumbling upon the resistance movement and being taken in by it, and trying his best to be as helpful as possible to it, and Dan trying to figure out just what exactly is his angle, only to be surprised when it seems like he doesn't really have one. And despite himself, Dan finds himself being drawn to his old quasi-friend, and also surprisingly feeling sorry for him. This fic deals with the depths of the despair that a person can feel and yet still present an outwardly positive and charming appearance. The lengths that Adrian is willing to go to in this fic because of how he feels about himself, as some would argue justifiably so after what he committed, is It's very interesting to read. It's definitely one I would recommend for those who don't think redemption is possible. It's one I would recommend for those who want to see the world expanded upon in a meaningful and realistic way, honestly. It continues on with the themes and the questions and also poses some new ones. And it's a credible slow burn. You spend time seeing these two begin to learn each other and fall for each other, and by the time that it happens, you believe it. It is just such a well-written fic, and all of the elements are in balance. The story itself and what they're all working towards is always in constant focus, and the OCs have their own problems as well that fit well into the narrative and don't feel like they're taking away from anything. It's just so wonderfully crafted. It also has a special place for me, because when I first dove into the Watchmen fandom to end up looking for fics and the like, there wasn't too much there. So I was out to explore absolutely everything. And when I stumbled upon this fic and was reading it, it was one of those fics that really makes you consider a certain pairing. You know, sometimes if you're going through a fandom and you're just reading fics from every single pairing and none of them are really speaking to you, sometimes you'll find a fic that will just be like, yes, this makes sense. And I understand it, and it will make you want to explore that pairing more thoroughly. And this is that fic for me. This fic was my entrance into Adrian/Dan, and I'm so glad for it. So please, if you have the time, I only have the one small offering today. But of course, don't let that stop you from leaving recs down below, because most weeks I do have time to check them out, and I really appreciate them. Perhaps, if you can still remember it or still have it, share a fic that was your gateway into either a certain pairing or fandom. I would love to see it. I, as always, appreciate you taking some time out of your day to spend it discussing fics with me. I always appreciate it. Next week, we're going to be back to a more normal format. There are, as always, more videos coming soon. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid. And hit that like button because it also helps. So as always, thanks again, and I will see you when I can. And until then, let's get to the outro. Bye-bye. This has been Shipper's Guide to the Galaxy. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Special thanks to all of my patrons, names on the side, for helping to make these videos possible. There are, as always, more videos coming soon, so until then, stay tuned, for there are as many ships out there as there are stars in the sky.